Deku is about to go viral in a very big way thanks to the events of My Hero Academia Chapter 380 and this entire war arc. And in this video, we're going to talk about what that means and what's going to happen as a result of Deku going so viral. But first off, what do I mean about Deku going viral in the first place? Well, in My Hero Academia's final arc, we've seen that the business students plan to record the whole battle, and they've all been spread out through the battlefield using their phones as cameras to record all of the action so they can do good PR on the heroes after this battle is all said and done. I think their plan was releasing it in some sort of movie or some sort of documentary and helping people understand that the heroes were actually very helpful here. Now, even though the world definitely needs some sort of documentary or some sort of film showing everything that happened before the events of this chapter, in the most recent chapter we did see Brava actually beginning to live stream the events of this war arc through everyone's phones on the battlefield. Meaning that right now there are live streams popping up all over the web in the My Hero Academia world with people reacting to the battle, with news agencies picking it up, and all over the place on the internet, people are starting to learn about the events taking place in Japan. Because of that, several heroes are going to be making their international debut on the screen. And right now, since we primarily have cameras in the area where Deku and Shigaraki are, it's obvious that of course the two of those are going to get a lot of attention online, but there are some other characters here who are definitely looking for their time in the spotlight. And number one, of course, would be Monoma. Monoma said himself that he wants to be one of the people who they write about in the history books when they discuss this battle, and he wants to be remembered as one of the reasons why they won. And what better way to do that than to make a grand appearance on this massive live stream. And there are also other characters like Kaminari and Manga who finally made their way to the battlefield. And who knows, maybe after this, Kaminari will actually have a lot of fangirls all over the world, which I'm sure is something that he'd be really happy about. Now, like we've mentioned, the battle between Deku and Shigaraki is currently being recorded, because even though they've fallen off of the UA skybase, I guess the business students have one of those Google phones that have 100 times zoom on it or something, because they definitely are capturing the battle with some pretty great quality, with the shot that we see in the chapter being zoomed in it looks great. And us seeing Deku rushing towards Shigaraki, who stands there looking really cool. Now, obviously the audio from their fight can't be captured, but everything is being narrated. With Shigaraki being a well-known threat at this point to Japan and the rest of the world, and Star and Stripes lost, the entire world has given up on beating him or All for One. Everyone has abandoned Japan, even the top heroes of the other countries, and they can't even come and help if they wanted to. And along with that, the civilians barely have any faith that the heroes can win. Even with all that said, the world can see Deku giving it his all in this battle and fighting to free Japan. So just like All Might's debut, this is bound to launch Deku really high up in popularity and gain him global acclaim as the new strongest hero in the world, given that again he'd be defeating the Purpose, who slaughtered the last holder of that title. Now, if you remember early on, Deku told us that this was the story about how he became the greatest hero, and later on during the Dark Hero arc or the Black Hero arc, Deku let us know that this was actually the story about how everyone became the greatest heroes. And I think of course seeing Deku fighting Shigaraki is going to be one of those things that convinces people that he is one of the greatest heroes ever, but everyone else's efforts, especially when all the footage has been released and everything is said and done, are really going to add up to making people have faith, right? And I think everyone who takes part in this battle against the villains is really going to become iconic. Deku is moving so fast that it's probably going to be hard to get a lot of footage of him specifically, so sure, we'll probably see a lot of other characters getting their rankings boosted because there'll be more available footage of them, but also the heroes here really showed by example that they never gave up, making them some of the greatest examples of heroes ever for those watching on and looking back in the future. You can literally take the Battle of UA and teach it in a school setting to show people, hey, these are the proper heroes. These are the heroes who never gave up. Even when everything seemed lost, they still continued the fight for the people and for each other, and together they were able to mount an assault against All for One and his forces, and they were able to take the victory. And when the record of that battle is written, we're gonna see names like Deku and Ochako and Monoma and Aizawa, and people are gonna learn those names in classrooms in the world of My Hero Academia because those are the heroes that saved Japan. But it's not all just roses, right? There are some things that are going to be a little difficult for, I think, people to understand and for people to process. And number one in that order is, if Deku tries to save Shigaraki, how will society judge him and how will they deal with that? Now, if you're a longtime viewer of this channel, of course you know that I believe that Shigaraki is going to end up somehow losing his life in a battle against All For One, where he takes a Demon Lord out, but of course can't stick around, because again, I don't believe that anyone in the world of My Hero Academia could accept Shigaraki or forgive him for what he's done. And it's not like Deku has forgiven him, he just wants to save a person who's in trouble, even if they're a bad person. We can square that up later. I just want to save you from the situation that you're in first. But how do you think society is going to look at that, and do you think that that could cause further division in the hero society? And with the secret of One For All already starting to leak in Japan, will the details of this quirk leak worldwide, and what would be the ramifications of that? We know that Deku plans to be the last holder of One For All, but if the world learns about the quirk, could there be a situation where Deku really can't help himself, and the only thing that would actually help is him passing the quirk on? Maybe Deku gets old or something, and they're like, hey, this villain, we really need to be able to take this guy out, and we need that One For All quirk from you, so what is it going to be? But on the other hand, if Deku ever does choose to retire, if people know about One For All, they're going to be wondering why he doesn't pass it on, and blaming him for all the crises and various different things that happen, because they're going to see it as him being able to help and just choosing not to. So it's going to be a really touchy subject to see how One For All is handled if the secret is leaked to the public and everyone does know about it. But that's one of the things that comes with fame, and that's something that Deku is certainly going to have to learn a lot about if he's going to continue on the path that he's been going on so far. One thing that I think could definitely gain Deku a lot of support is All Might. With All Might potentially on the way to Deku, like we've already covered in a video, and we're probably going to do another video actually on that topic, how would him fighting side by side with Deku and visibly patching the torch on change things, and what's the likelihood of that happening, right? Because I feel like it'd be a much easier pill to swallow for people if they literally saw All Might, who they saw was out of commission for a long time, fighting alongside a student and then passing the torch on as they take down both generations of All For One, and All Might then and there truly retires, or maybe even doesn't make it. I still think there's a high chance that All Might does have something interesting in that briefcase of his, and he's gonna use that to join Deku on the battlefield, but we're gonna just have to wait and see. I think for Deku to have his big I am here moment, and specifically to say, because I am here, Shigaraki is gonna have to present a very valid danger, and Deku's either gonna have to save some people, or maybe it's something that Deku could say to Shigaraki. Either way, I hope he says it loud enough for the cameras up at UA to catch it, because I have a very specific scene that I have in mind for what we could start seeing at the very end of My Hero Academia. Because with Deku's I am here moment, I'd really like to see all sorts of people watching the TV and seeing his hero debut kind of on that international level, and I think it would just be really awesome to see a kid at home watching Deku saving the world, and having Deku inspire that kid to then become a hero just like he did. To have Deku call out, because I'm here, and have the screen glowing with all sorts of light coming out of with Deku on the screen as he inspires the next generation. With Deku's way of doing things and his very teamwork oriented attitude, I think he would definitely be a very strong idol for the next generation of heroes, but that's all depending on whether or not he survives. So let me know in the comment section below, what do you guys think would be the perfect moment for Deku's I am here moment, and what do you think about Brava making everything a live stream so that now everyone on Earth has access to this battle between Deku and Shigaraki? What do you think that's going to mean for Deku's popularity, and who else on the battlefield, even if they're not being recorded right now, just for fun in the comment section, do you think would go the most viral on My Hero Academia Twitter if a moment from the war arc was recorded featuring them? Is it going to be Dabi versus Shoto, or one of them going to be viral? Is it going to be Bakugo's massive explosion? Who do you think would come out the most popular if someone could watch all the events of the war arc live?